What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about raid bosses. Clash events are pretty important, and this is mainly geared towards players that are just getting into the game. Now, the thing is this is a little bit different from most gacha games for those who are just getting into One Piece Treasure Cruise. And the thing is the free-to-play characters in this game are very important for your success in future content. So in this video today, I want to talk about the clashes that are currently available, because with the new update on Global, raids are available every single day, right? So from Monday to Friday, you know, you've got Strength Dex, Quick Sign, Int, one of each day. And then on Sundays, you've got like exclusive raids where it's like a group of characters or dual units. Those characters are going to be like on Sundays, right? So raids are going to be available way more often than before. So this is a really good opportunity to identify what are the best ones that you should be farming up. I've got a tier list up right now from Tier Maker. So I've got 5 different tiers. Max them now is obviously like the ones you need to go ahead and max out. Whenever they're out, take priority in maxing them. There's characters that are also really good, but the ones in the tier above are definitely way more higher priority. Then you've got ones that are rarely used, ones that are never used, and ones that are just complete garbage, and it doesn't really matter if you farm them or not, right? So let's start things off. Let's gonna go from the start all the way to like the highest ID, right? So we'll start off with Raid Mihawk. He's a decent character when he first released, but he's basically never used. All he provides is a 30% health cut. He's a 2.5 times slasher captain. Nothing really too great. Then we've got Monster Chopper. Now, the thing about it is some of these Clash units have actually gotten buffs with the latest 9.5 update. So Chopper's now got a special ability that gives your strength characters a 1.75 times attack boost. So that is actually pretty good, especially if you are starting out, but for the most part, he's never used. I wouldn't say he's garbage. Previously, before the update, he was definitely a garbage unit, but now, because he's an attack booster, it helps him out just a little bit. The next one after that is Raid Garp, who also did get a slight buff, so he will change all your orbs into either Psi or Recovery, and then he'll also go ahead and amplify the effects of your Psi character's orbs by 1.75 for one turn. So, again, he's never really going to be used, but it's a nice buff. You've got Zephyr here, who is an attack booster for shooters. He's okay. I wouldn't say he's never used. I'd say he's rarely used. He's not great. He's just a 2-turn 1.75 attack booster for shooters, so yeah, not great. Ivankov is absolute garbage. You do not need to farm this character up. Ivankov actually did get a buff from the latest update, but even still, this unit is still bad. Change his orbs into either Recovery, Strength, or Dex. Strength, Dex, and Quick are going to be beneficial for all characters for one turn, and give himself a matching orb. No, just no. No, Ivankov is garbage. Doflamingo is rarely used, and look, when he first came out, Doflamingo was probably like the best character in the game, because he's a rainbow 2 times orb booster. Now, that is still pretty good to today's standards, but the fact is so many different classes and colors have their own dedicated 2 times orb booster. Previously, like, Doflamingo was such a powerful character, you could run him on any team, even on a team where he's not boosted, and he's going to help your team out significantly. But because, as I said, there's so many other 2 times orb boosters for other classes and colors, or even higher orb boosters than that, Dofi's not really a character you see used anymore. Raid Blackbeard, trash, absolute garbage. He had a really cool gimmick on his first release, and we used for a little bit of content, but as time's progressed, he's gotten progressively worse. Raid Heracles is a really interesting unit. I'd probably put him in rarely used, because he does have some niche uses. He basically gives you a Strength, Dex, Quick, Psi, Int, and a Recovery orb, guaranteed full board of orbs on your team in that set order, and then you can swap your orbs around, and certain teams can really abuse that. So I'd say he has rare use cases where he could see play, but most of the time, not really. Aokiji is a 2-turn 1.75 attack booster for strikers, and he's also an orb blocker for 2 turns. So he is never really used, but again, there are some circumstances where you could use him, but most of the time, you're never going to see him being used. NL is a fixed damage dealer, as well as being a 2 times quick attack booster. He also reduces your crew's health. He's not really used that much. As I said, like, these characters, like, they attack boost or they give orb boosts to certain colors or classes, but there are just so many other characters that are just better than these guys, so I really wouldn't suggest farming them up, unless if you've already farmed up all the characters that we've already gone through. Duval is trash. You do not need to farm him. And then moving on from that, Momonga, Dalmatian, Berry Good, Strawberry, all of these guys are trash from the Buster Call raid boss. This Nightmare Luffy is not very good. I'd say he's garbage, because he just does some damage. He does like 16 hits of damage or something, and then he delays the enemies by 1 turn. Now, we're not talking about Neo clashes in this video, but the Neo versions of all of these characters are all worth farming up. They're all just basically buffed versions of their original forms. But this specific Nightmare Luffy, no, he's pretty bad. Then we've got Raid Kuma. Now, Raid Kuma is a pretty good unit still to this day because he has amazing orb manipulation. He gets through a block, bomb, recovery, tandem, I think. He does a lot of different things. Empty orbs, like he changes a lot of orbs around. So having access to this is really, really good. Also the fact that it is a 1.75 orb booster for all types and classes, right? That's pretty useful to have. So if you're just starting off, Kuma is a really good character because of his significant orb manipulation and rainbow orb boost. But most of the time you would probably put him in the rarely used tier. But if you're just starting the game, Kuma is very, very good. He actually is really good if you're starting off the game. This Boa Hancock is rarely used as well. She is a 2-turn, 2.5 times chain locker. I think she delays as well. She's okay, but she's nothing crazy. The Neo version of this character is easily like a really good unit because she's a 3-turn, 2.5 chain locker. So you can carry it through multiple different stages, which is very useful. For some reason, this Oars is here. This Oars should not be here. Oars is just coming to say hello. Then you got Pika. Pika is rarely used as well. He has a good support ability, by the way. He has a support ability that changes empty slots on your Driven and Powerhouse characters into matching, and he attaches to a Dofi character. Like, he has a good support. His special ability isn't used that much. He's a health cutter. He does orb manipulation as well. He's just not really used that often, and that's the same with Kizaru. Kizaru is a cooldown reducer. He's a chain booster. He gives himself a matching slot. He's not great also. Like, a lot of these earlier raids are severely outdated despite their buffs that they received version 9.5. This Sabo is good, but at the current point in time, you don't really need him that much. I would honestly put him in the rarely used tier. On his first release, he was a god tier unit, one of the best free-to-play characters in the game, but as time has progressed, he's kind of aged poorly, in my personal opinion. You've got Raid Shiki, who is actually, he's actually pretty good, right? He does really good orb manipulation. He's a 1.75 attack booster for the Driven class. But there is just a better character that is a Driven attack booster that you can get, which is Treasure Map Cavendish. He is really good, and he's a 1.75 orb booster as well. So Raid Shiki, he has a good support too. He attaches to Driven characters or Strength characters, I can't remember. But at the end of the final stage, he gives you a 1.3 attack boost to Driven. So yeah, his support ability could see play, but most of the time, Shiki's pretty bad. Then you got Gil Tesoro. I'd say he's a never used character. Again, he just does orb manipulation. That's basically all he does. Raid Akainu is a good character. He is really good. So this is the first character that we're actually getting into like the high tier, right? So this guy's great. He was like one of the first characters to introduce color affinity into the game. He's also got a great special that gives your strength characters strength orbs, so you just get the orbs for free, on top of getting the 1.75 color affinity. His Neo variation is also very good as well. It's the same thing, just for the int color instead. So yeah, Akainu is fantastic, especially after you limit break him. He actually gets a 12-turn cooldown at max, which is phenomenal. Really, really good. So Akainu is worth it for sure. Magellan, look, on first release, he was really good. He is a really nice poison user with the toxic effect, so every single turn, your toxic damage ramps up. But the fact that we have a lot of other better toxic units, right, or like strongly poison, like for example, Colosseum Magellan is a better version of this unit. Legend Magellan is a better version of this unit. There aren't too many situations where you specifically need toxic in order to clear the content. But look, if you need a toxic user, then that Magellan's fine, but most of the time you're fine with just using something else. General Frankie, never used. He has a decent effect, but no, he's not really great. He's almost garbage, but he actually has a little bit of utility to remove enemy buffs and stuff, but nothing great. Now, Bellamy, I would put in the hella good tier because he has double special activation when you limit break him, so you can use his special on 2 different stages, or you can use his special twice in the same turn for a 10% health cut, then another 10% health cut. He gives you a rainbow 1.75 orb boost. He makes sign int beneficial for your team as well. He's actually just an all-round generically good unit. So because of the double special activation, that's why I'd put him here. Without that, he would have probably just been in the rarely used tier. I don't use him too often, but he is good. Fujitora is great. He does lots of AoE damage, adjacent orbs matching, 2 times orb boost to Powerhouse. He's really good. You should definitely farm him up whenever he's available. Raid Virgo is a orb booster, I want to say. I actually don't remember what he does. I know he's for a striker class. Virgo, what does he do? 1.75 orb boost for striker, reduces damage taken. Yeah, he's not great. Yeah, I think he's probably never used. No one really uses him. Sanji's pretty good. He's a 2 times attack booster for the Powerhouse class. Powerhouse are one of the best classes in the game. Probably the best class in the game, so I think he's a pretty fair assumption to put him in the hella good tier. Although I haven't used him too much, it's just the fact that there are so many other better like more stronger, more reliable attack boosters for the powerhouse class. But if you need a really good powerhouse booster, then this is going to be great. If you have Sanji and Judge, dual legend, then you really don't need this guy anymore, to be honest. But look, the option's there if you need it. Raid Caesar, he's rarely used. He applies poison, I believe. He also is an orb booster for Cerebral and Driven, I want to say. So that's fine. Bato, I would say he's definitely a must-max character. So this is the first, like, yeah, you should probably max this guy out. The reason for that is because Bato is one of the best defensive units in the game. So Raid Bato, he has a multi-stage special, reduces damage received over 3,000 by 97%. So this is a threshold damage reducing effect. So it means that if there's any damage that gets dealt that's above this value, the rest of the value past that is reduced by 97%. So yeah, this is one of the best units in the game to basically tank any death hit that's going to be applied to your team. When you use his special, he also recovers a large majority of your health. He reduces enemies' attack up, enrage, end of turn damage cuts, and resilience buffs. This is one of the first characters to release to actually remove resilience, and that's by 5 turns too. So Raid Bato, one of the best defensive units in the game, definitely worth farming. Raid Rayleigh, easily in the hella good tier, especially if you have Legend Carrot. If you have Legend Carrot, I would highly prioritize this unit because, especially when you limit break him, he gets the ability to reduce his cooldowns every time another unit uses a special. So you can actually get it so that you can use Rayleigh special multiple times per run. He shuffles your non-matching slots. He's a Rainbow 1.75 attack booster. Very good for Legend Carrot teams. But even aside from Legend Carrot, he's just a generically good unit. Senor Pink is rarely used as a conditional booster. He's not that great. He does remove chain lock, I believe, as well. So if you get inflicted with a really annoying chain lock effect, he can actually remove that. But most of the time, you're not using him. Raid Lucci, I'd put him in the rarely used tier. He is actually pretty good. He's a self-proccing conditional attack booster, but there's a massive drawback to him, and that is the fact that you can only proc his special ability if there's one enemy, right? If there's only one enemy when you launch the special, he delays the enemy and then provides a 1.75 attack boost against delayed enemies. So that's, I guess, 2 problems, because you need one enemy only on the field, and that enemy has to not have a delay protector or a full debuff immunity protector. So there's lots of restrictions with him, but in the situation where you can use him, he's awesome to have, that's for sure. Tankman is basically never used. He's decent. He has a lot of different effects happening, but he's not great. Raid Zor, I think I've talked about him extensively in many, many videos. Raid Zor is probably one of the best free-to-play characters in the entire game. Reason for it is he just does so much. He does damage to one enemy that ignores abilities and barriers. He removes Threshold by 5 turns. He removes Rainbow Shield by 5 turns. And he is either a 2 times or a 1.75 color affinity to Driven and Slasher, depending on if you have full HP or not when you launch the special. This guy's fantastic. He is so good. And on top of that, he has a very powerful support ability, supporting any Slasher. At the end of the final stage, you get 1.3 times color affinity for free for the Slasher class. It's hella good. You should definitely farm him up. He is probably number 1. Out of all the Clash units, he's number 1. Raid Cracker, I would strongly suggest maxing him out as well. He gives you a full board of Dex Orbs, which is kind of weird, but when you launch his special, on top of giving you the full board of Dex Orbs, he treats them as beneficial, and he also gets rid of the Block Orbs as well. He also removes Chain Lock as well by 5 turns. He reduces enemies' HP by 20%. He's really nice to have. Like, you're not going to use him a lot, but he's really, really good to have. He's a Cerebral powerhouse too, which is a really interesting class combination. So he's very nice. Raid Blackbeard is actually not too bad, but he is rarely used. He removes a bunch of different debuffs, but he only removes them all by 1 turn, which is definitely a drawback. They should have probably, reduced the amount of things that he would have reduced, but extend it to maybe 2 or 3 turns. That would make this guy so much more valuable. But he does remove a lot of different effects, which is useful to have. And then if you're below, I think it's 10% HP, you get a 2 times attack boost to all your characters, which doesn't happen all the time. But in those situations where you know you're going to be below that threshold, you can just grab him and get a Rainbow 2 times attack boost, which is pretty good. V2 Ray Dofi, he's definitely in the hella good tier. He's really good for like your Kizuna clashes, or just if you've got really good, powerful, driven, or cerebral legends, you want to have this guy, because he is one of the most unique characters in the game that enables you to extend the duration of buffs. So he randomizes your non-matching slots, including block slots, so he's a block orb remover. He locks your orbs for 1 turn, which is also very good. And then he says that if your captain is cerebral or driven, he increases the duration of your attack and orb boosting buffs. So you can go ahead and launch a special, get a 2 times attack and orb boost, and then you could launch his special to then extend those by an additional 2 turns. So you can make any boost, like massive boost for 1 turn, last for 3 turns instead. Very, very unique and very powerful. And as I said, like really good for Kizuna clashes and other difficult content. The fact that you can just extend the durations of any buffs that you have is so useful. Raid Judge, yes, you should farm him up. He is a 2x color affinity booster to Dex, I believe. Let me go ahead and pull him up. But he also reduces chain lock as well. He's very similar to Raid Cracker, who also reduces chain lock. He does fixed damage to one enemy, reduces increased damage taken, chain multiply limit, and chain coefficient reduction by 5 turns. And if you have 3 or more Dex characters, he's a 2x color affinity to 3 separate colors: Dex, Strength, and Psi. So yes, you should farm him up. He is very nice for color affinity, utility, and some fixed damage, which is so good. Raid Arlong is rarely used anymore. He is a 3-turn orb booster for slashes. He also reduces increased defense, which is pretty good, but not used too often. Raid Ace, 100% you gotta max him out. I know he's an orb booster, but I don't remember exactly what else he does. So Raid Ace is changes block orbs into matching orbs, which is good. If you're below 30% when you launch the special, you get a 2.25 orb boost to Fighter, Free Spirit, and Powerhouse. And even if you're not below 30%, you still get a 2x orb boost to those 3 types. So block orb removal plus a 2x orb boost is really good. And the fact that he is a Free Spirit Powerhouse, like those are 2 of the best classes in the game. So there's lots of usability for this character. If you have a character like, let's say, Sabo and Coalla, this would be a really good unit to run on that team, or any other good powerhouse team, right? This is going to be a good unit to have. If you have quick Whitebeard, you want to have this guy as well. That ace is very strong. This guy's garbage. The docking straw hats are garbage. Raid Big Mom, Raid Big Mom is good, but she's rarely used. She has a really unique effect where she basically just launches her special and does a bunch of different damage to the enemy. She's interesting. She's not a character you need to click content with, but she's useful to have. I wouldn't say she's a priority though. Capone, again, rarely ever used. He's a 2x attack booster to shooters. That's about it. That's all you're really using him for most of the time, so nothing too great there. Magellan and Hannibal, I actually use them a lot. I use them a lot in Kizuna modes, especially with Luffy and Law, because you can get a color affinity boost with them. They're a 2x color affinity boost to Quick and Int, which is good, right? Especially that we know that Nami and Komurasaki are going to be arriving very soon on Global. This character is going to be really good for that type of team, right? To get that free color affinity. So if you ever get those characters, then this character is going to be good for them. Garp and Sengoku. Let me go ahead and just quickly run through what they do again. I actually forgot what they do. I know that they remove beneficial effects. Yeah, they remove all positive buffs, reduce despair by 2 turns, boost the attack of fighters by 1.75, and orbs by 1.75, and they're a 3-turn combination. Wow, that is actually really, really good now that I think about it. It's been so long since I've used them though. I really haven't used them that much. They're rarely used, but they are actually really good now that I'm looking at it on paper. So I would say that they're hella good, but once you get to a certain point where you have a lot of other good fighter characters, you won't really be using them that much. And if you are using them to remove your beneficial effects, most of the time you want to just be running TM Big Mom. Treasure Map Big Mom will provide the same type of thing, but she would provide way more damage to your team, and she gives you the G orbs as well in comparison to Garp and Sengoku. But Garp and Sengoku also remove despair by 2 turns. So if you need to remove beneficial effects and despair at the same time, which is very niche, then that's a thing, I suppose. We've got the 2 Stampede raids. They're both really good, but the thing is the Stampede raids are rarely ever out. But if they are out, you should farm up both of them. Lucci, especially if you've got Legend Bullet, you want this Lucci. He is phenomenal. And then this Sabo is just a generically good unit, but he works really well with Stampede Luffy, of course. But he removes burn, he removes attack down by 5 turns, beneficial orb enable, color affinity, really powerful unit. Raid Crocodile, I'd also put in the hella good tier. He removes the chain locking effects by a bunch of turns. He also increases your base chain rate by up to 2 times instead of 1 times. Raid Croc is good. He is a good unit, but I personally have not had many situations where I've needed to use him, but he is a good unit on paper, right? He's really powerful to have. This Luffy is actually really good as well, especially if you've got Halloween Ace. This guy is one of the perfect units to build a really powerful core, especially with Kizuna, Halloween Sabo. You can build some really cool stuff with that. So if you have Halloween Ace, I would prioritize this Luffy, but once again, he's very similar to the Stampede stuff. He's not going to be around that often. And then the last unit is the Shanks and Mihawk dual unit. Now, I personally have never actually used this character to my knowledge. I might have used them maybe once or twice, but I really can't remember a time where I needed to use this guy. But many free-to-play players do think this guy is very strong. He has a very unique ability as well. he is a conditional booster, and he procs it himself, right? So if you're below 50%, you get a 2-turn delay, and you get the attack boost for 2 turns against delayed enemies. And he also reduces bind, special bind, and attack down duration by 2 turns. So it's to have a bit of utility. And then if you are below 50%, you can get a really nice conditional boost. But the thing is being below 50% is a bit of a downside. If it was above 50%, this unit would be a god. And then his switch ability is interesting as well. He boosts the chance of quick int and recovery orbs appearing, and then randomizes your slots around, so you can get a higher chance of the quick int and recovery slots. But as I said, I haven't really used them that often, so I can't really suggest farming them as a higher priority as some of these other characters. But definitely these top 3, I'd say, are the most useful ones that I've used a lot recently. And then some of these other guys in here, like Crack is really good, Rayleigh with Carrot, as I said, Dofi in Kizuna mode, Magellan and Hannibal Kizuna, even Judge is really good in Kizuna mode as well. And some of these other guys I've used a lot, but pretty much everyone in the rarely used tier or below, I personally have not used in such a long time, so I can't really recommend them to you guys. But the ones in the hella good tier and above, you should definitely get to maxing out, that's for sure. But that is going to wrap up this video. This is already a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but hopefully you guys learned something here. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.